Okay, all, good evening. Going to do a bit of a watch review here on a G-Shock that I've just got. I've had it probably about 3 weeks now. Enough time to settle in, get used to it. And not done a watch review before. Watched lots, probably like the rest of you guys. So this is not going to be as slick as Random Rob or Adrian Barker from Bark and Jack, those sort of guys. There's some very high production values with their stuff. What we have got here though is a map of the Lake District in the UK. This is an old inch by inch map, and they sort of did a relief on it which shows the contours up better than the modern Ordnance Survey map. And I don't know why they didn't persist with them, but anyway, as usual, I digress before we even get started. So this watch is a G-Shock from the Master of G series. It's the new Rangeman Armour Jacket series watch, GW-9400Y-1ER. And it's my first Rangeman, actually. It's not my first G-Shock. It's one that, I'll be honest with you, is probably what's led me to doing this review. Is one that I've been put off of buying by other people. And yeah, you should take your own advice and do what you want to do, not what other people suggest you do. I always stood back from buying this one because I thought that it was going to be too big. I have a 7 and a bit inch wrist, and I always thought that this was going to overpower it and just look, you know, too big and cartoonish. But actually, I've been really pleasantly surprised by how it looks on my wrist. What I'm wearing at the moment is a Elliot Brown Camford. This is a UK Fire Rescue Special limited edition watch. Let's just whip this off quickly on a Tropic type strap. Whip this off quickly for those that are interested. It's yeah, there we go. Yeah, you have to be serving or have served in UK FRS to be able to get one of those. Elliot Brown do quite a lot of special edition watches, and maybe I'll give a fuller review on that watch and perhaps some of my others, depending on how this goes. But as you can see, probably, yeah, difficult to tell there, but take it from me, on my wrist, it doesn't look that big. And I looked online to see if I could find a review of this new colourway before I bought it, which they call the Armour Jacket series, and they call this Rescue Yellow. Yeah, not quite sure about that. You hear a lot of, I think Rescue, it's International Orange, I think is the colour, but that said, Rescue is generally associated with a very orange colour, and yellow perhaps not so much. I mean, I think this is more JCB or more DeWalt sort of look to it, but actually it's I was a bit dubious to start with, but I specifically wanted a Rangeman with the positive screen on it. The negative ones seem very hard to read, especially when your eyes get the wrong side of 40 years old, which mine are now. So yeah, a quick overview of this. If you want to know more detail about all its functions and the ins and outs of it, I would suggest your man is Watch Geek, and actually this would suit him well because it's very much his colours, the yellow and black. I'm surprised he's not got a video up about this watch already, but he has done a very in-depth tutorial on the Rangeman, its main features, and then on the ABC functions, which are accessed through this dedicated button here. So yeah, just to run you through it quickly, it's in the time mode. As you can see, it's 24th of Feb here in the UK, 18:22 in the evening. This is an atomic solar watch, so it picks up an atomic signal every night, and as we go through it, you'll see when it got one last night, has a little indicator here, which will shows you that it has picked up a signal within the last 24 hours. And I'll be honest, I do like these solar and atomic watches from G-Shock. They're very straightforward, very fuss-free. I've got a couple that you set up via your phone, and whilst the setting them up on the app is quite simple, I always switch between watches quite regular and have to restart the app and then synchronize the watch with it. And these are, to use a Tawdry phrase, much more grab and go. And if you're switching between your watches regularly and giving some abuse to a work watch perhaps, and then switching it out for something else, yeah, as I say, I like knowing that it's dead on accurate with the atomic clock. We're served by one of the 6 around the world. One of them covers the UK, so that's good for us. And the solar is also another great feature. So just running through it very quickly, it's a Rangeman. They've been around for years. For those of you that want to watch this next little bit, so that's the time. That's the world time set for Chicago at the moment. The nice thing about the Rangeman is that it has the current time in the UK, or your home time, still displayed, and it has that when you're running a timer as well, be that a stopwatch or a countdown timer. So yeah, city code at the top, and then that scrolls across with the full name of the city. There are some functions in this little wheel here that a light arrow or a light line that shows your home time versus another line showing the world time. Yeah, to be honest, it's too small to be useful. I like the way they've added it in, but yeah, you need far more acreage on your watch face to be able to make good use of that. To be honest, that would be a more Garmin-esque sort of feature. They tend to have a lot of screen with a lot better resolution and make better use of colour. But that's not what we're here for. Those watches start at more than double the price of this. And yeah, as I sort of alluded to earlier, I'm serving UK Fire Service, and a lot of people in the services or emergency services and in the military, from what I've seen, favour G-Shocks, and that's for very good reason. Something that I have noticed, being a bit of a watch geek, or quite a lot of a watch geek, is that new entrants to the service, and especially the younger ones, will either wear no watch at all and rely on their phones. They're never more than a yard from their phones, and they are constantly checking them throughout the day. So yeah, they get the time from their phones, or they'll run a Apple Watch or some sort of Samsung smartwatch. Those that are, yeah, perhaps a little bit older, and I think it is an age thing, to be honest, or a generational thing, G-Shocks and Garmin's, and yeah, it's surprising actually. There are some people that yeah, run a watch that old swatches and things like that they've obviously had for years. But yeah, so anyway, I'm digressing again. So let's move on with what this does. So we're in the world time function at the moment for Chicago. Move it on, we've got the stopwatch, and that looks like I've had it running, and it was recorded 1 hour, 35 minutes, 45 seconds. And as you can see, it's got the current time is displayed here, which I do like. The other thing I really do like with the stopwatch function on this watch is its direct entry from this button here. One press of this button and you're straight into starting a stopwatch. You're not even into the stopwatch screen. It actually is going the minute or the second you press that. So yeah, we can zero that out, the usual good stuff. Start, stop, reset, that time, and I think the second place you can do on that as well, but it's not something I generally get into. But I do use the stopwatch function a lot, and it's nice not to have to scroll through everything to get to it and then start it off. You can just bang, hit that. Useful for all sorts of things, from timing your tea bag in your cup, to pasta, to arriving at an incident, and how long has it been since we've been here, to send back your first informative message, ideally within 20 minutes, that sort of thing. So yeah, very, very useful. And the fact that it's a 24-hour one that clocks up the hours. Same with the countdown, it's 24-hour countdown. So yeah, that I've got it set for 20-minute countdown at the moment, and that will do 24 hours. It's displaying 0 hours. I don't know if you can quite see that at the top there. Yeah, 0 hours, 20 minutes. Next screen is the alarm. I tend to set them half an hour apart, so first alarm at 5, second at 5:30, third at 6, and so on. And then use the alarm, nominate the alarm I want to use, rather than, if I want to use an alarm, have to fiddle around and set an alarm for 6:30. I've got them in for the times I normally wake up in the mornings. That said, I wouldn't rely on it to get you up. They're not that loud. You obviously can't have all of the G-Shock protection and all of that good stuff, and 200 meters of waterproofness, and it emit a lot of sound very easily. Yeah, the louder alarms are on the watches with the lesser depth ratings and the lesser protection. Then we're into sunrise here. Sunrise, sunset, and current time, which is handy. And then the recall screens, which show maximum ascent, minimum height value that you've been at with the watch, and it will also you can do like a screen grab capture of data. So if you're looking at the compass, for instance, and you want to store that in the memory of the watch, I think it'll hold up to 40 screen captures effectively, be they of the barometer, of the stopwatch, or the home time. Yeah, not the stopwatch, sorry, but the home time, and compass, and the pressure reading as well. Not quite sure how useful that will be, but maybe something memorable happened and you had the wherewithal to scroll through and remember which button to press to capture and do a screen grab. You could then record that time. Maybe something that you could train yourself into. As with all these G-Shocks, the button layout is very similar, and if you can navigate your way around one G-Shock, you can pretty much navigate all of them. They're quite intuitive once you get into the G-Shock or Casio menu system. Not quite as much as your modern Garmin, but then we're looking at things that have been designed in the app age versus things that were designed as your first back in the day G-Shocks, which were quite groundbreaking quartz watches at the time. So with regard to this watch, where does it sit and what's it do and what's it used for? It's part of the Master G series, and Garmin, Casio / G-Shock pitched this sort of right at the top of their rough and ready tool / outdoor watch / adventure watch, that kind of thing. You can get the Pro Treks, which are more biased in their feature and their user interface for trekking and hiking and stuff. But these are good everyday watches, whether you be construction, building trade, or whether you be emergency services, police, fire, ambulance, all that sort of thing. Or if you're in the military, obviously very popular watches with the military. Being a master of G, the buttons are much improved over other G-Shocks in the range, and yeah, the functionality or the usage of these buttons is great. It's one of the things I really like about it, actually, compared with another watch which I'll show you in a minute, or might do another review on. But well, why not bring that in now? So yeah, this is a 5000U, which is a great watch, and I can talk more about it. There's lots of videos out there about them that go very much into depth on them, the black DLC, and these are stainless steel watch with the resin band and bezel around them, rather than the chassis of the watch being made from some sort of polycarbonate or whatever that most of your G-Shocks are. But the thing with this watch is, anyone that's used it will know that you need to be able, you need your nails to operate the buttons. They are quite small, and they are quite they don't stick out very far, so there's no chance of you operating these with gloves on. And yeah, apart from cold weather, gloves are worn a lot in my line of work. So that is, yeah, it's a lovely watch, has its uses, really like it, but for day to day on the job, this one is much more usable. So we've come all the way back to the home screen there, and if you want to the light, now the light, a lot of people say, oh, I don't like the the loss of the bluey green electroluminescent lights on the older G-Shocks. Yeah, I can see that, but I have to say that this one comes up with a sort of white LED light, and it's consistent, it seems, across the screen. It's not emanating from one corner so much as on other models, but it's across the screen, and it is very white and very legible, and I like it, actually. Yeah, I think it's good, and I think there's a trade-off as well with the solar power. If you're going to run solar powered watches, then the electroluminescent backlighting, I think, is more power hungry than this sort of white LED. So that's the trade-off, and to be honest with you, it's well worth it, in my opinion, because of the solar aspect of this. Yeah, so as you can see, the yellow highlights on it, and your little Rangeman cat there with his little watch on there, with I think showing that it's got a compass on it, which is accessible through this big button here on the side. And we are straight into, what are we straight into? There we go, compass. Yeah, there you go, and it will continue to show you the time. The barometer, that's hectopascals, and you can see at the top it tracking the last, I think it's 42 hours, but as I say, Watch Geek's your man for this sort of thing. And the temperature there, as with all the sort of wrist worn devices or wearables, the temperature of that the watch takes is affected by the heat of your wrist. And they say to get an accurate temperature, you take the watch off for 15 minutes and then see what it says. You can adjust the temperature readout on here. So what I did was tune it effectively. I went for a long dog walk, and I knew what the temperature was outside, and then I looked at my watch, and it was showing between 8 and 10 degrees above what the actual air temperature was. So I stopped, went into the settings on the watch, and knocked 9 degrees off of it, and yeah, went with that, and it's proved pretty reliable, or better, shall we say. It's obviously not as good as something like a Garmin, which will be taking that data from other sources and displaying it for you as to what the air temperature in your location is. Yeah, so that's this Rangeman, and I have to say I'm pleased with it. Something that the difference between this one, which is the world edition, and the JDM Japanese domestic ones, is the strap, really, from what I understand. And the strap on the JDM model is got a carbon fibre insert in it, and is got a yellow sort of lining to it, which, yeah, that looks pretty cool. And had that been an option or available, I would have probably gone for that, just for that little pop of colour, which is quite subtle, because, well, it's not subtle, but it's reasonably hidden, because when you're wearing the watch you can only see the edge of that yellow, whereas you would see all of it if you had the watch off, but it's quite hidden. They do the keeper, sort of DLC style black coating, which is, yeah, that's great. But why not do the buckle as well? So you've got the buckle in silver and the keeper in black. To me, it would have just made sense, and at very little additional cost to them on one of their flagship watches. See what I mean? You've got one silver, one black. If they were both black, that would have looked fairly nifty. It has a little ramp here on the end of the strap to stop the keeper coming off, but I found that this keeper was actually quite loose fit, so I wrapped some electrical tape around it so that I didn't scratch it, and then with a pair of pliers I just gently I threaded the strap through, and then I just gently, you can see there, just crimped it a little bit so it gripped better and wasn't just constantly floating around. It was actually doing some good. But I also did a little mob, which I do with most of my watches that use conventional style straps. This is just an O-ring from work, and yeah, I think it's probably 22 or 24 mil diameter O-ring, and I just stretch them. Well, you can get it off quite easily. There you go, straightforward O-ring, costs nothing. And then if you put it in place, because I hate keepers that don't keep on a watch, so what I'll do is just to show you, that goes over there, that sits there, lovely, and we'll keep it. Works really well, done it on loads of my watches, a bit like Mr. James Stacey's cutting a NATO strap down so that they ride thinner on the back of your wrist. It's something I've done. I should drop him a line and give him my little dodge here, he might like that. So let's look at other G-Shocks that, well, let's have a look at other options that you might look at with especially with the ABC functions of this. This was, yeah, £287, I think, and yeah, well pleased with it. So let's try and set that up there so keep it in view a little. Still Elliot Brown, but other options would be, and these have been around for years, is the Sunnto Core. And as you can see, I've had this one for quite some while. It's on its second strap. Yeah, again, I've done an extra keeper thing there to, even though this has got two keepers on it, and they are got slots, little raised nobules, for want of a better phrase, that lock into here. Still, they move about, and I like that sort of low profile, not getting snagged sort of affair. So these are sort of like a mini Ranger band idea that I put on this one, and it seems to have lasted actually quite well, but the O-rings tend to be better. Okay, so back to this. Yeah, great watch. Couple of things I don't really like about these. First of all, this button here, if you press this button here, it will then, for more than a second, I think, or two, it will then go into the adjust mode, and you will then lose your settings, unless you have the screen locked, which is pressing the light button for like 3 seconds or something. So I tend to keep the screen with the little padlock on, and I like this watch because it's sort of free, you know, does a similar thing to this, shows the barometric trend. Where was I? Yeah, so if you don't have the screen locked, and then you can press all the buttons and nothing will happen until you press the light button for a couple of seconds, and then that gains you access to be able to use them. I've found when you crank your wrist back with the watch on, in certain situations it's very easy to press that middle button for the 3 seconds, and next time you look at your watch it's flashing at you going, oh, you wanted to adjust the time and all the settings, and here you go, and all since then you've accidentally pressed this top one as well, and so I've moved it on a bit, and that's yeah, that's not ideal for a tool that is all about being out and about and adventure and outdoors and reliable, and something that you're going to you know, need. And I think there's yeah, if you're halfway up a mountain, that's going to be more annoying than if you're halfway around the supermarket car park and you need to know the time, because it's going to be annoying either way. And let's face it, you're not going to be up a mountain all the time, but if every day you manage to reset your watch, then that's a pain. Enough of that. Other thing I don't like about this watch particularly, the straps are excellent, really comfortable, and oh yeah, back to this one, the resin straps on this are more like the straps on this. It's a softer, more sort of silicone-y type of matte affair, and we'll look at another G-Shock in a minute and you'll see the difference. But yeah, so these straps are really good. They're not cheap. I think it's 35 quid for a replacement when I got this one. This is the second one, as I say. This watch has taken a lot of battering, and yeah, it's been great. But they don't look good on sort of other strap options, shall we say. I think this is the watch. This is the strap that was designed for this watch. It suits it. It fits lovely, but they do start to split after long periods of use. That said, when mine did start splitting, it didn't fail. It just started to split, and I noticed some little cracks on the inside edge, mainly around the hole that I was constantly using, and that gave me enough time to go, I tell you what, I better get another one ordered, because if I keep this up it will fail at some point and I will lose the watch. Other thing that this is I do like and I don't like, because these watches aren't solar, because I believe how power hungry the baro function is, and the compass and the light and stuff. So the watch, you know, how long's a piece of string? Last battery in this lasted me just on a year. But then I'm not wearing this watch every day. I'm not a heavy user of the light or the ABC functions. I've got a few watches, so this sits in you know, rotation, as people say. But yeah, I wear it when I feel like it. But a year out of the battery, that's fine for me, especially as they are user replaceable. But so that's the good thing, they're user replaceable, and they are the CR22 whatever battery, common as, cheap as. But the thing I don't like is the slot on the back here is I guess it's probably, well, if anybody knows, put it in the comments below. What fits in there really well to undo it. The only thing I can, got to hand regularly that fits in there well is the large screwdriver on my Leatherman, which does chew it up a little bit, and when that sits, that's the touch point on the top of your wrist. Not that I notice it when it's on, to be fair. I notice it when I run my finger over after I change the watch battery, and I think, oh dear, that's getting a little bit gnarled up in there. It looks to me like that would be perfect for a coin or something, but none of our UK coins seem to fit spot on, whether a euro or an American quarter or something would be what that specific size slot is designed to fit. I don't know. But yeah, Leatherman will do the job. So yeah, great little watch. And the other thing that it would be better if the contrast was better. Sometimes this is a little hard to read in certain lights, and you often have to use the light to brighten things up so you can see it. That said, this is one of the ones with better contrast that I've seen. I normally set the contrast right to the top and then knock it back a couple of notches just so it doesn't bleach out. Yeah, it's a great watch. Time over, I'd probably have gone for a positive display one, but they weren't really available when I got this, and I was all about the cool, blacked out sort of tactical look of it, rather than the functionality. And then that's why this time round I hung out and got a positive screen on those. So other options we'll whiz through. You could spend a whole lot more dollar and go for a Garmin. This is a Quatix 6, which is the marine sort of sailing watch, loaded up and with all of that stuff on, some of which I don't use and some of which I'm never gonna use. So I've actually sort of parked that. It's there in the software that I can bring it back should I want to use it, but I'm never going to want to steer my own boat through my Garmin watch and my Garmin system on the boat, mainly because I don't have a boat. That said, I have done a fair bit of sailing, and when I did, I wore probably a Phoenix 3, I think that was, and that was a great watch for it. And yeah, super watch, taken all sorts of abuse, but I wanted to upgrade to one with a heart rate monitor on, and start tracking my sleeping a bit more accurately. So that was really the main sort of driver for getting this, and it was a little bit smaller, so better for every day wear. The good thing about these is you can very quickly swap out the straps. It's just got a and this is some cheap as chips import strap that I got from it. It's very nice silicone, came from China. Took a few weeks to come. I started to wonder if it was ever going to show up, but the Garmin straps are very good, but they are 45 quid a throw. So as you can see, I'm probably going to struggle to do this now. There you go, easy as that. So yeah, I do like this ability to swap straps out. Like most of you, I expect we've all got a box which is a nest of NATO straps that look like mating snakes. So yeah, very much like this watch, but don't like to wear it too much for work, funnily enough, because for me, I wear it when out on, adventures and exercising, bike rides, hiking, all that sort of stuff. when you can make use of all the functionality with the mapping and the tracking and your GPS, etc., and your heart rates monitoring. I mean, it really does do the lot, but it's a lot of money, and yeah, I'm happier to batter this one at work than I would be to batter that. I might get a little bit teary-eyed if that got ruined or indeed lost. So this video's taken longer than I thought it would, but if you can bear with, we'll quickly run through a couple of other options. I had this one for years, and I probably bought this one when what I really wanted was the black and red version of this one, and I was worried about the size, and etc. And what I did have an opportunity to do when I bought this one was to get the JDM version with the solar power. Well, this is solar as well, but with the atomic timekeeping. And at the time I didn't. And this watch, although it only loses a couple of seconds a month, I do like the atomic bang-on accurate thing. And if I had my time again, I'd have got an atomic one of these. And probably at that point told myself I was one and done, and don't buy any more watches, save yourself a whole lot of cash going forward. But we're not like that, are we? So this is the Mudman, and yeah, it's a great thing. But as you can see, what I was saying about the quality of the strap, this is your traditional G-Shock strap, and it's not quite as nice as you can see the difference. This shiny sort of plasticky look, whereas this is more your silicone-y rubbery look. This one is it's not silly flexible. It's probably not much in it in the flexible state, to be honest, but for some reason, maybe it's because this is new, and in time this one will wear and shine up like this one has. But all things considered, size wise, there's not a lot in it. There really isn't a lot in it. If you can wear one of these, you can definitely wear one of these. So it's been a really good value watch. Great. And again, one of the things I like about this watch is that it will still show you the time, your home time, when you're using stopwatch, countdown timer, that sort of thing. Yeah, it does the compass as well. But to be honest, this is the watch that I reach for if I'm doing any sort of yeah, gonna spend a day mixing concrete up, this one. Gonna spend a day bashing in fence posts, this one. Not that the others wouldn't take it, but I'm less precious about this one. And yeah, I don't mind so much if this one is well, effectively ruined, I suppose. I could get over it. There you go again. I see I've got a O-ring on there. This one was one that I got, and I really like this one actually. It's got the old school blue electroluminescent on it, but this is the upgraded version, or the newer version, and what they've done is atomic timing and solar power, which they didn't have on the earlier iterations of this watch, when it was standard issue for US Naval Special Forces SEAL teams. And this is the watch, or the older version of this is the watch that you can see in the movie American Sniper. Chris Kyle, obviously SEAL team, whichever number it was, but yeah, he wore one of these. Great little watch. Probably the best 70 quid that you can spend on a watch, I would say. It rides pretty low. It's reasonably small. I like the round sort of look to it. It's a bit different to all of the square or they FW91s or whatever, yeah, watches that, yeah, ubiquitous. This one's a little bit different. The 3 eyes up here, talking about eyes, my eyes aren't good enough without my glasses to see what's going on up here, other than the one that tracks seconds. But these display whether you've got the an alarm set or the time signal set, how charged your battery is, all that sort of functional information is up there, which is great. But once it's you know, set and forget. I'd set them up how I want them, with the time signal, without an alarm set unless I specifically want one, and the power save mode excuse me, the power save mode on, and then I'm done. It's just you using it after that. Talking about operation, the buttons on this one are much easier to operate than the buttons on this one. These ones are nestled in really quite tight, which is great because you're not accidentally going to press one, but it's not so great if you're wearing gloves or you bite your nails, let's say. So yeah, this is a smashing little watch, and for 70 quid you can't go wrong. You pay another 200 quid, you're into this sort of thing, and yeah, you sit somewhere in the middle with one of these. This is a 300 quid, top of the range, and I wanted it more because it's the classic square, and it's the one with the stainless steel body or housing, and I do like it. And I would say that if you are this one is much easier to wear, putting on coats and jackets and jumpers and all that sort of thing, than this is. This is not horrendous, but you just sort of sometimes have to feed your cuff over it, or be aware that it's there. So yeah, and depends on, you know, your style or the environment you work in. You know, there's this so you have a high-powered business meeting. This might not be the image that you're wanting to project. That said, the image you want to project is not as important as the common sense that comes out of your mouth. So yeah, people will forgive you for a Larry big G-Shock watch if you're talking sense. You can wear all the Rolexes you want, but if you're full of it, people soon know. Right, that said, I'm starting to waffle and probably draw this to a close. Might do a couple more of these and try and make them shorter, and yeah, see you next time perhaps. Take care, y'all.